brought it on the commission for
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Open the meeting with public comment. Is there any public comment? Yes, Tim?
Mr. Chairman, just a real quick question. As the county is moving towards the website for information going to citizens as far as what's going on with the county, I talked to Daryl about this, but there's been several citizens asking about the email program that's been used by Michelle, and some are not getting that anymore. So is that terminated and going to be hooked to the website? And if it is, the townsendmt.gov or com or whatever the website is that where people will need to go to get on a list?
No,
I guess that's a question.
I think that we're still using the list.
Okay, maybe just some.
Last week agenda was a little bit late because we had to go to some training in Butte, so we were late getting some things submitted in there.
Perfect, thank you. Just wanted to make sure if we needed to get the message out to.
No, just I think maybe
A change there.
if you change your email, make sure that she knows about it.
Gotcha. Thank you, sir.
Okay. So we can go to, let's see, let's have minutes here from January 7th, 2019.
I'll move to approve those as submitted.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve minutes as submitted. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries.
Thank you.
We have a letter of support here that requires a signature for the Victim Witness Advocate Restitution Officer Program.
Mike, if we could use the other letter that was in the packet of mail that was in the clerk and recorder's office, that one's addressed to the Department of Justice. That was changed last year, and it could be enough to end a grant by sending it to the wrong office. I did talk to Brooke about making those changes, so I'm guessing that's just an old letter.
Okay, that's not.
Let's see if I have another one. So anyone who wants documents should make copies, not take them home. What we'll have to do is make sure that we get an updated letter. I know she did it because I got it Friday, but we can't send that to Department of Justice. That'd be great. We just need the updated letter
Okay.
and it's the one she updated with Tina Chamberlain's name specifically and Department of Corrections, not Justice. And that's with that bill change with Board of Crime Control. And I do not have an additional copy.
Okay, then we have a letter from Denning, Downing and Associates to do our audit. We expect to begin our audit on approximately January 14, 2019 and issue our report on approximately March 31st, 2019.
I would like to just add that we go through that every year, and Gerald, just for your information, and for the newspapers, the last 2 years, we've got the highest rating possible in our audit. So I think that's worth pointing out and reminding the public about.
I have a letter here from the Broadwater Food Pantry. Thank you for your generous donation of $3,000. It means the world to us as the next few months are what we call our lean months. Our donations are usually down during this time period. But with your donation, we will be able to provide food for individuals and families who need our help. Broadwater Food Pantry. Have a receipt to Montana Internet Corporation for the rental of the Limestone Hillside rent. There's several Institute of Tourism Recreation Research. Please find enclosed a copy of the 2018 edition of the Economic Review of Travel Industry in Montana. There's 3 copies of this. Claims in the amount of $2,216.19.
Maybe we get attendance.
I'll second the motion.
Motion been made and second to pay claims in said amount. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries.
Thanks, Brandon.
Yep.
We have this updated letter to the Department of Corrections for the support of the Victims Witness Advocate Restitution Officer Program.
I will move that we sign that support letter. That department, that work that she does is absolutely invaluable.
I'll second that motion.
Motion been made and seconded to sign a letter of support to the Department of Corrections for the Victim Witness Advocate Restitution Officer Program. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same.
And Daryl, just to let you know, that, the reason it's so important is to corrections and not justice. Board of Crime Control was switched from an autonomous agency administratively attached to Department of Justice last year. Last minute, 11th hour bill at the legislature was switched to a bureau within Department of Corrections. So if this went to justice, it probably would never be seen.
Sure.
And it's a county department or county service, so support letter missing from the county would be significant. But the other thing is this Brooks position and this position is funded by the Board of Crime Control, and it's federal funding that comes through the state and is then disseminated from there out. We got an $11 million increase. So there's a lot we can do with victim services throughout the state. And I recuse myself at board meetings for this grant so that I can vote here.
As we move on to the Commissioner's update, I was in on a Blackfoot conference call on Friday, THS board discussions with Billings Clinic and Bozeman Health, and Fron training in Butte put on by MACO.
I was also on the Blackfoot call. We didn't discuss really any county business. It was just an update. The 3 of us attended the fraud prevention training in Butte, and Mike and I traveled in the same car. But again, we did not discuss any county business. We also had office hours where Brandon and Wynn came to see us. They updated on the airplane crash. I don't know if there was anything more. Maintenance came in to talk to us about a broken washing machine. I think the plan to replace that and fix that are pretty sound. And I met with the communications team. We also had a, I guess that was about it, Agency on Aging. So when you guys were at the trust board, I was at the Agency on Aging meeting, and that's kind of a sister agency to Rocky Mountain Development Council. We meet quarterly, it's usually for a full day, and we it's a regional board, so commissioners from Marr County, Broadwater, Jefferson, Gallatin, Lewis and Clark, and Park County sit on the governing board, and Vic Sample is now on the advisory board. So the advisory board is made up of seniors from those 6 communities, and we work with Rocky to fund things like the senior center, aging services, and disability services for the 6 counties. A lot of that's also federal money that comes through the state that's disseminated that way. And that is about it.
Okay, I also attended the fraud prevention training, the Broadwater County Trust Board meeting, Blackfoot Communications conference call, and also I have been calling and interviewing several candidates that have expressed an interest in serving on our county boards.
I had a letter from the trust board that I cannot find. For the trust board had received $10,000 from SJS Services donation and had requested that money be put into the Parks and Recreation Board.
It's not a signed copy, but I can get you a signed copy.
Okay, thank you. Dear Broadwater County Commissioners, the Broadwater County Trust Board has received a check for $10,000 from JSJ Incorporated, Sharon Walker's Silos KOA, with a request that it be deposited in the Trust Board account. Broadwater County Trust Board recommends the funds be allocated to the Recreation Board to be used for operations and possible grants. Thank you for your considerations, and please know if this is acceptable to the Commissioners. Kind regards, Virgil Binkley, Broadwater County Trust Board. Chair.
I think that's awesome. I would move that we accept the donation. I don't think a motion needs to be made, but we accept the donation and place that donation into the Recreation Board Fund.
I'll second that motion.
Motion been made and second to approve the acceptance of the $10,000 from SJS Enterprises to move said funds into the Parks and Recreation Board. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Virgil, do you know where
Come
the?
forward a little bit.
Yeah.
My hearing aids don't work that well back there.
Do you know where the contracts for the golf course and the Rod and Gun Club, are they still with the county attorney?
They are, we have a meeting with the city attorney at 2 to get the process moving a little bit.
Okay.
The county attorney has all of the legal descriptions and this sort of thing that we have in our file. I'm not sure about the golf course, but the gun club part is in the county office, been there for quite a while, so.
Okay.
County attorneys, the legal description for what's left for the golf course, if that's important in writing the lease agreements. My suggestion would be to have Sharber Surveying, who have all of the data. And I think they had to resurvey out there also to, when the land was transferred. I think they had to go back and find a couple of corners in there, so they can develop a legal for you
Okay.
fairly quickly, and if you need some help on it, give us a call and I'll help work with
Okay,
Schaubers on it.
okay. Thank you,
All right.
Virgil.
Thank you.
I'll see you at 2 o'clock today, tomorrow.
So we will adjourn the county commissioners meeting and open the public hearing for the adoption of resolutions to establish county meeting dates of the commission, hours of operation, mileage, lodging, and per diem rates for business travel. So the first one up will be the resolution establishing regular meeting dates of the Broadwater County Commission. Whereas the Broadwater County Commission wishes to establish its regular public meeting dates in accordance with section 752122 MCA, and whereas section 23103 MCA requires the commission to develop procedures for permitting and encouraging public participation in decisions of the commission that are of significant interest to the public, and to allow public comment within the jurisdiction of the commission. Now therefore be it resolved, the commission will hold their regular meetings as follows. Monday, except in the case of a holiday. If the regular scheduled Monday meeting day is a holiday, the meeting will be held on Tuesday following the holiday. Wednesdays as needed. Meetings will be held in the basement meeting of the Broadwater County Courthouse, 515 Broadway, Townsend, Montana. Meetings will begin at 10 a.m. The commission may, and with proper posted public notice following Title II, Chapter 3 MCA, designate another meeting time, agenda update, dates and/or place. The commission will post agendas in 3 public places. Bulletin boards in the U.S. Post Office at 501 South Front Street, Townsend. Broadwater School Library's bulletin board at 201 North Spruce, Townsend. Broadwater County Courthouse, first floor and basement bulletin boards at 515 Broadway, Townsend. To assure adequate notice and assist public participation before the final decision is made or final action is taken on any matter that is of significant interest to the public, the commission will post an agenda specifically identifying such matters in the Broadwater County Courthouse on the first floor and basement bulletin boards at 515 Broadway, Townsend. The commission will follow Robert's Rule of Orders as long as it complies with Montana state law. The commission may continue an agenda item. The commission will provide reasonable time for any person to submit data or comments in writing and orally prior to final action that may be taken by the commission. Such submitted information shall be made public part of the public record. All meetings of the county commission are open to the public unless closed as provided by statute and the Constitution of the state of Montana for legal strategy or to protect the right of privacy of employees or members of the public. Notice will be given of ministerial or routine managerial matters or impromptu discussion with county employees, vendors, and other citizens. Is there any discussion on this resolution? Okay, seeing none, we will move on to the
I have a question. I couldn't hear the part about how you're gonna handle revised agendas. Is that in there?
The commission may, and with proper posted public notice, follow Title II, Chapter 3 MCA, designate another meeting time, agenda updates, date and/or place. The commission will post agendas in 3 public places. Bulletin board in the U.S. Post Office at 501 South Front Street. Broadwater Schools Library bulletin board at 201 North Spruce. Broadwater County Courthouse, first floor and basement bulletin boards at 515 Broadway in Townsend.
So are you planning to send email notices of your agendas like you've been doing?
Yes,
And also revised agendas?
I believe that we've still have been, yes.
Okay.
No,
Yeah.
no change, I don't see
No,
any
no
reason to
change in how
anything.
we're.
So those things are all the bare minimum required by statute? There's no reason why you can't, in your own resolution, say, we're gonna do more? And so I got contacted this week because I didn't receive a revised agenda last week, but I did receive one this week by email. And then in talking to the newspaper, found out they were not getting revised agendas. And some other people are. For some reason, the sheriff himself is not on the email list to get revised agendas. So my recommendation is that would include whatever that distribution is for the main agenda, that you the same for revised agenda. And certainly, the email list seems to be a popular one in terms of people that are paying attention and care to get the agenda.
Are these only the revised? Because the one for last week's was not a revised agenda.
So the one for today, when I received it last week, so I had been asked by Bobby, are they still doing emails, because I'm not getting them. So when I got it, I forwarded it to her, and I said, did you receive this email? And she wrote back and said she did not. So I would recommend that she be included, or that the newspaper of record be included.
I don't think there's been any change, I think that she's still included, I think we were just dealing with some illnesses over the past couple of weeks. So maybe, aside from the resolution, we can talk about maybe having a backup somehow. A second person that can do that in case somebody does choose to take vacation, which we also had, or is ill. And I think that's something we can work on maybe with.
Yes, Tim?
And Mr. Chairman, we've had this discussion, and thank you, Mr. Swanson. One of the things that questioned from a lot of people that we've heard from at the paper level and myself on the ground is, when does that revision, when it's needed, take place? Because we've had a lot of people going, wow, when did that happen? And one of the commission meetings where we had that discussion earlier, we talked about making sure that if there is a revision, that the date of that revision go in so that the people understand. And Mr. Chairman, we thought that was a pretty good idea, and we hope we can maybe push that forward. If that's part of the resolution process, that would be awesome, because it's, again, keeping the people informed is why I'm here, sir. Thank you.
Doesn't
Now,
what we
another
need to
question,
do
which I'm not sure if it was addressed. So how are you gonna do it in terms of who puts something on the agenda? Can any one of the three commissioners ask something to be on the agenda, it's on the agenda?
Yes.
Okay.
And normally what happens with our revised agenda is it's something that somebody brings to us that has to get taken care of.
Right,
Normally we don't revise unless something comes up like that.
right.
And we'll try to have all of that on the website. And usually the revision we have to have that posted by Thursday afternoon. And those will be posted in these places. And we will try to, I'll talk to Michelle and see make sure that email for revised is addressed. So the next one is the resolution establishing hours of operation for Broadwater County offices. Whereas Section 74102 MCA requires the Board of County Commissioners, with cooperation of each separately elected county official, to establish office hours for all offices in the county, and whereas Section 1-1-216 MCA provides for legal holidays observed by the state of Montana and Broadwater County. Now therefore be it resolved that the Broadwater County Commissioners, in cooperation with county elected officials, establishes regular office hours for county offices to be open to the general public from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday and shall be closed legal holidays. Health Department. The Health Department, including immunizations and licensed established programs, shall be open to the general public from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday and shall be closed legal holidays. Sheriff's Office. The Sheriff's Office shall be open to the general public from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday and shall be closed legal holidays. The Sheriff's Office serves the needs of the county on a 24-hour day, 7-day week basis. Treasurer, Clerk, and Recorder, Elections, Superintendent of Schools. Treasurer, Clerk, and Recorder, Elections, Superintendent of Schools Office shall be open to the general public from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday and shall be closed legal holidays. The Motor Vehicle Department shall be open to the general public from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday and shall be closed legal holidays, but closed for titles at 4:30 p.m. The county treasurer may, in the interest of the safekeeping of funds, securities, and records under their control, close their offices during the period from noon to 1 p.m. every day. All other county departments and those under the direct supervision of the Board of County Commissioners shall be open to the general public from 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday and shall be closed on all legal holidays. Hours and days may be modified by the department head and/or commissioners. Departments may close their offices during the period from noon to 1 p.m. every day. Is there any discussion on this resolution? Yes.
I just had a question about the sheriff's office. I didn't know why it says closed holidays 8 to 5, and then we talk about open 24 hours. Is it supposed to be like that, or, I mean, can we just have it 24 hours, because we're not closed?
If I may, Mr. Chairman, I think that came from you guys last year. We didn't change that language at all.
Okay.
And I think it was to do with regular office services.
Okay.
But as your doors are locked
Yeah.
all the time, I'm not sure about any of that language. So if you want to revamp that,
I just
we
was curious, I
can.
mean.
yeah, but it came from the sheriff last year, so
Okay, I'll
Yeah.
talk to him, I don't think it's a big deal, but.
it is kind of contradictory though,
Yeah,
isn't it?
It's just
Yeah.
kind of funny when it reads.
Yeah,
But, I mean, even it says that we could also be out on a call where, you know, during those times where it would be open. So it's
right,
just kind of, no big deal.
yeah, thanks.
You're open, but you're closed 24/7.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, the next one is the resolution establishing mileage, lodging, and per diem rates for Broadwater County business travel. Whereas the Broadwater County Commission wishes to adopt a resolution establishing mileage, lodging, and per diem rates for business travel in accordance with section 218.501 MCA and 218.502 MCA. Now therefore be resolved, the commission will adhere to mileage, lodging, and per diem rates as set by the state of Montana for state employees. Is there any discussion on this? Seeing none, we'll move forward. We will close the public hearing and reopen the commissioners' meeting and move to the decision to adopt a resolution establishing meeting dates, hours of operation, and per diem rates.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to adopt the resolutions establishing meeting dates, hours of operation, and per diem rates set by the state.
Is there a second to the motion?
I second that motion.
Motion's been made to adopt said resolutions for meeting dates, hours of operation, and per diem rates. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Okay, we will move on to the annual update of meeting agenda and open meeting policy and public process policy. Broadwater County Commissioners meeting and agenda and open meetings policy. It is the policy of the Broadwater County Commission that meetings of the official board shall be open to the public. Broadwater County recognizes the opportunity for the public to observe and participate in the actions and deliberations of public agencies in a safe and civil environment is important to a free society. To ensure county business is conducted in an efficient, equitable, and civil manner, Broadwater County meetings will adhere to Robert's Rule of Order as long as it complies with the Montana state law and provides for working exceptions for a board of 3. Broadwater County also recognizes the right of privacy constitutionally guaranteed is fundamental to the well-being of both the individual and society. Therefore, all meetings of official Broadwater County business shall be open to the public, except when the discussion or deliberations related to a matter of individual privacy or litigation strategy. Established meetings. In accordance with the annual resolution setting commission meeting days and times, commission meetings will be held on Mondays and Wednesdays as needed. Additional days and evenings may be added. In the case of a holiday, a meeting may be moved to Tuesday. Meetings will begin at 10 a.m. unless otherwise advertised. Meetings will be held in the basement meeting room unless otherwise advertised. Public notices. Agendas will be published according to section 23103 MCA. The deadline for scheduling time on the agendas is the Wednesday, 10 a.m. prior to the meeting. Agenda. Items of public interest will be noticed on the agenda. In order for a matter to be brought forward, the presiding officer shall be notified no later than the Wednesday morning of the week preceding the commission meeting, or the request may be delayed to a subsequent week. The request to be on the agenda shall include the topic and details of the issue to be considered. If the topic is a new item or presentation, a copy of the presentation must be submitted to the commission with the agenda request. The presiding officer shall make the final decision unless a majority vote of the commission opposes said decision. The agenda shall be reviewed by commissioners prior to publication. Public comment. Civil public comment is welcome and encouraged. Each citizen who wishes to speak on any matter relevant to county business, time limits may be set by the presiding officer. Public hearings. Public hearings will be advertised per section 712121 MCA in a local newspaper of record. All civil and relevant comments will be considered, regardless of the mode in which they are delivered, in person, via phone, email, text, mail, etc. Meeting. Official regular meeting agendas will be published on the government page of the community website, www.townsendmontana.com, Wednesdays preceding the commission meetings. Commission meeting may also be notified by posted according to MCA Title II and the 2019 New Year's resolution in 3 public places: the courthouse, the post office, and the school library. All meetings of the county commission are open to the public unless closed as provided by statute and the Constitution of the state of Montana for legal strategy or to protect the right of privacy of employees or members of the public. Notice will not be given of consent items, routine manager items, or ministerial actions. The presiding officer may recognize a member of the viewing public as an informational or expert witness at their discretion. If a member of the public wishes to comment on an agenda item, they must address the presiding officer, state their name, give relevant comment, remain civil, and the presiding officer may impose a time limit for public comment. All such comment will be directed to the presiding officer, never to another citizen, guest, employee, or visiting expert. Written correspondences. Requests to read written correspondences into the public record must be accompanied by the author's name and address for verification of the record. Anonymous submissions will not be accepted. Written correspondence must follow the civil guidelines established above. Is there any comment?
I would just, I guess I have a little concern about saying civil everywhere in there. I mean, people can be non-civil and that's still protected speech. I would say non-violent. But we have a right to be non-civil to the government. I think there's a line between, I don't know, I think you can limit profanity, you can limit violence, but I don't think you can require civility, especially with written comments, but I guess that's my thought.
I will share a counter to that from another couple of attorneys. If your meetings become uncivilized, uncivil to a degree, then you are actually violating other members of the public's rights to participate. So that's a constitutional violation. Can put you in jeopardy of that $500,000 finding against Great Falls, I think it was, from our training. So I think none of us is such a marshmallow that we would say, you know, if a person just raises their voice, that's not okay. But these meetings are county business meetings. They are not boxing matches, verbal boxing matches. I would request that civility remain, because we cannot do our job if these meetings revert to what we've had in the past, to the degree of incivility. So I would request that that remain for the rights to participate of our citizens. We have too many who have said they were horrified, that they're afraid to come here. That's simply not okay. If the word civilized is enough to help take us in the right direction, I think it's important.
Is there any other comment then? Is there a motion to approve the policy?
I will so move. That is actually a legal requirement, and it's posted outside the meeting and on the bulletin board and by our office.
I just have one additional question, and maybe Tim, you can answer this. Was it Wednesday at noon? Is that the deadline for the paper? Is that correct?
Right now, to my knowledge, Mr. Holford, it's 2 o'clock.
Oh, 2 o'clock,
at noon.
okay.
Or, I mean, excuse me, on Wednesday. To my knowledge, it's 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock on Wednesday.
Because I think you folks had indicated you were going at a noon,
Right.
somewhere in that neighborhood program, and we wanted to make sure, leave a little bit of a cushion there to make sure that we don't miss that obligation, if you will.
Okay. And I guess that gives us plenty of time to get that submitted. Our deadline is at 10 a.m.
Yeah.
That gives us plenty of time to get it back. That's all the clarification.
Okay, is there a second then?
I'll second that motion.
Motion been made, second to approve Rubber County Commission meeting agenda and open meeting policy. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried.
Mike, I have a question in that letter. Did you say Mondays and Wednesdays
As needed,
as needed?
yeah.
So the trust board is going to go back to meeting once a month, the first Wednesday of the month? That might conflict, right? It could.
Mm-hmm. Which,
Well, we can easily move the trust board to Thursday or Tuesday. I'll talk to that board. I'd rather do that ahead of time than last minute.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
and that's been for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Generally isn't a problem, but it can be, especially during budget season.
Well, and I know one time the trust board had a meeting in the jury room, and that was uncomfortable.
Sure.
So we will move on to the 1030 item, Montana Department of Motor Vehicles interlocal agreement adoption. An interlocal agreement between the Montana Department of Justice Motor Vehicle and Broadwater County.
We've been seeing a number of emails, there's been a lot of communication about this. I'm not worried about it, and with Doug's blessing, I will move that we sign the motor vehicle interlocal agreement with the state.
I'll
Is
second that.
there any discussion? Corey, you looked this over.
I did, yeah, I guess for the public, so what this is because we are, the county, all counties implement vehicle registration, that feeds into the state system. They're required to use software, et cetera, and I guess registrations, components that are created and mandated by the state that are also requirement of federal requirement. So to use that system, there's a couple of different things that have to happen. What this agreement does, number one, is there is a requirement that any county employee that's using the state system has to comply with their I guess it's called IT, Internet Technology Use Requirements. When I worked at the state, I had to sign one. Anyone that uses the state system generally has to sign one. That's, all kinds of things. Don't break the law, don't do this. So that's part of it. The second part of it is simply an agreement between the county and the state as to how we do these different functions. Which functions are performed by the county personnel, which are performed by the state personnel. The reason for that is because even though the county personnel, they're county employees, the state can't necessarily mandate, they're not charged necessarily that you will do this. But in order for us to carry out our functions, we have to agree on division of labor. So this is an agreement that lays out what the county does for the state, what the state does for the county, so that the system works, because it's 56 different counties that register vehicles and provide that to the state. So I went through the agreement, visited with Doug, looked at some reviews by other county attorneys and MACO, and basically what Doug told me is that this doesn't change anything that they haven't already been doing, but it's an updated agreement that kind of addresses the fact that there are going to be some changes over the next couple of years as Montana implements a voluntary real ID identification. And then secondly, it was an updated certification for Doug's employees to follow the rules of using the state IT system.
Also, didn't that include, Corey, that they were providing equipment and software and the maintenance for all that as well?
Yeah, that's correct. Because it's a state system that we have to use, and the state's required to provide those components.
Motion's been made and seconded to sign said agreement. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Okay, we will move on to the Community Development Planning, Nicole Brown, notice of intent to construct adoption and continuation of board appointments.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So back in April of 2018, I presented this idea to you of a notice of intent to construct. This is not a building permit. There's no fee associated with it. Extra copies if you want. Thank you. John? At that time, you suggested I speak to the solid waste supervisor, which I did. And then I failed to come back to you in a timely manner because now here I am, 7 months later. So just a little background on this. The purpose of this was for Department of Revenue, with them not having an office here in Broadwater County anymore. It would basically simplify the process for them to capture new construction as opposed to driving around or waiting 1 year to a year and a half to capture that new construction to put it on the tax roll. So that was the number one reason for creating this form. The second reason that came about after speaking with Solid Waste was they were finding, the Solid Waste supervisor at the time, as well as the Public Works director at this time, finding that there's a considerable amount of construction waste going into the canister sites, the open canister sites. So we thought that this might be a good way to capture that as well. So they can know who's constructing when and at what time. What she does with that information will be up to her. The extent of my involvement in this would be simply when they come in to request an address, I say, okay, here's this form, give it to your contractor. If you're the contractor, fill it out. Give us the month and the year that you intend to begin construction. Again, no fee associated with it, no penalty associated with it. So that's basically what we spoke about a few months ago. And I'm just now bringing it back up because I didn't follow through.
What you just said about fee or penalty?
There's no fee associated with this
Okay.
and no penalty for not completing this.
Okay.
So it's an on your honor form, essentially, hoping that at least 50% of the contractors and homeowners will supply this to the county, this information to the county.
So if they filled this out, the contractors or homeowners, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
will they pay a fee for the solid waste?
That
Continue to use our solid waste facilities?
I'm not sure of. You would need to speak with Mary on that.
Okay.
I simply would supply her with this information, and what she does with it would be at her discretion and obviously at your approval. Because they don't know the inner workings of her permitting system.
Okay.
This would just be a tool for her, sorry.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, one of the things we did last year with this in mind is we had an employee who was charged with driving the county and tracking new construction, in-process construction, new holes in the ground, finished homes. And those numbers were sent to Department of Revenue so that nothing got missed. With that, the Solid Waste Board is aware of that and with this, so the two work in concert. And at some point, they will be coming to see us and let us know at what point solid waste fees will be assessed on a home. Which is not the construction waste, because the solid waste fees are just for your household waste.
Right.
But they would be on the rolls for that, and then they'd be able to have this tool and that other tool to track those construction projects just starting, or at what percentage they determine they're gonna start. If that helps. So, sorry, Nicole, I just wanted to add that flavor.
No, that's perfect. Right now, there is no deadline on the assignment of an address. So I had 35 new addresses assigned for fourth quarter 2018. I seriously doubt that 35 new homes were either constructed or complete constructed, maybe partially. You know, I guess we've had some moderate weather, but I really doubt that 35 new homes have been constructed based on that information. And so to supply the address information, it's okay because it gives an idea of where the homes are going to be built, but they can simply request an address on vacant land and it can sit there as vacant land forever. So just because there's an address assigned to a parcel doesn't necessarily mean a home is under construction or going to be constructed within a timely manner. The septic permits, those I believe have an expiration on them, but that also doesn't mean that a septic system couldn't be installed and then a home not constructed. And so that again is not the very best tool, but I think with all of these three we can capture this a little better, hopefully. That's my hope anyway.
So will this be forwarded to the Department of Revenue then?
Correct. And I did run this past Mako Legal. Tara Depew did take a look at this and she said as long as you're not charging and you know, realize that there's no way to charge a penalty if they don't complete it. And I'm aware of that and again making that aware
Okay.
to you.
I'm thinking too that this might be a great place, or our kind of website might be a good place to post this. People that are searching around.
My intent would be to, every address request that comes in, I will supply this document. I will put it on the website. I will mail it, hard copy, to all known contractors in the area. I have a pretty good understanding of who's doing business in the county. Obviously not all of them, but I have a fairly good idea. I think I can get at least 90% of them and mail a copy to them, as well as an explanation of why. And reiterate that there is no fee. We simply hope that you graciously complete this.
Sure. So you'll get these requests, whether it's a contractor, or how about say when the subdivisions are formed?
Mhm.
Who would be receiving that I guess, how does that relate as far as for that goes? I guess we don't really know who's in the subdivision, but I guess that gives us an idea that something's happening, right?
Correct.
Okay.
And I can supply this to all developers when they come in as well.
Mhm.
However, the developers are not always the ones that are doing the contracting
True.
or the dirt work.
But it's just another source to get that information out. Okay.
And they can supply it to their contractors.
Perfect.
Are you gonna give this to the contractors, building contractors and real estate?
Real estate, that is a good one, yeah.
Mhm.
I hadn't considered that, but yeah, I certainly can. Because right now I do date stamp all of my address assignments, so I can easily lump them into these categories of first, second, third, fourth quarter for a year. But those are just addresses. This, hopefully, I can marry to that and create a similar spreadsheet, so we have a more firm idea of the contracting, of
Sure.
the actual work that's being done on the ground.
So you had 35 new addresses just in the last quarter.
Just in last quarter. Mhm.
Do you happen to know how many you had for the year?
Not off the top of my head, I'm sorry. There was a significant amount. It was a busy year. And I can easily get you that information. It'll take me 15 or 20 minutes or so. So I can just email that to you if you'd like.
Yeah, I
Okay.
would. So did you make a motion already?
No, I'd be happy to, Mr.
Need a
Chairman.
motion to adopt said notice of intent to construct for the planning department?
I will move I will so move.
I'll second the motion.
Motion's been made and seconded to adopt notice of intent to construct for the Broadwater County Community Development Department. Any public comment? Seeing no further discussion, take a vote. All in favor of said motion?
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. And we got a copy of that.
And I have no new interested board appointments for you to consider today. I do, however, have letters from your motion last week for you to sign, and I will mail them off to each of the appointees.
Did you not, did we have the letter from Jeannie Steele last time?
You verbally gave it to me, and so I do have a letter in here
Okay.
to Jeannie still, because you did make that motion.
Okay.
Did we approve Jeannie Steele? Because it was in the minutes that we did not, and I don't
Okay.
have it
No,
checked on my
You did not.
paperwork.
Because
Okay.
Darrell wanted to.
We did, and I did talk with Jeannie on the 7th, and she was excited to serve, and I think she'd be a great addition to the planning board. So.
Okay, well, I have her letter on top if you want to make that motion first. I'm sorry, I was thinking that you had made that motion.
Would you like to make the motion, Darrell?
Yes, I'll make that motion that we appoint Jeannie Steele to the planning board.
For an initial 1 year? term?
Yes, for 1 year, yes.
I'll second that motion.
Motion been made and seconded to appoint Jeannie Steele for the planning board for the term of 1 year. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries.
Oh, I think I forwarded to you Laura Cater Woods. She is interested in continuing her service on the compensation board. Did you by chance print that?
I did not print that. No, I'm so sorry. I saw that email too.
If you guys want, be happy to forward that, but I'd also be happy to make a motion to appoint her to a 3-year term as she served her initial 1-year term last year.
I will,
Who is this again, I'm sorry?
Her name is Laura Cater Woods. She's in Mike's district. She served on the compensation board last year for the first year, we just hadn't had a letter of interest.
okay.
So we have that now. I have not heard back from the other member yet.
And do you need copies of these letters, or do you want to just refer to my, I will keep them in the corporate files in my office.
I think you're wise to bring these to a meeting like this. That way it's overdone, taken care of.
And if you choose to make the weed board appointments today, I will print those letters and have them available next meeting, as well as if you make a motion on Laura Cater Woods for the compensation board. I could actually bring those letters this afternoon, right? Because it's continuing business, just to not prolong the process?
Sure.
Okay.
Yep.
Motion has been, so we need a motion for Laura, right?
I did make that motion.
Motion's been made to appoint Laura Woods to the County Compensation Board for a 3-year term.
Correct.
I will second that motion.
Motion's been made and second to appoint Laura Woods to a 3-year term on the Compensation Board. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. So now we move on to weeds. Is that our next one?
Correct, if you're prepared to make a motion on those appointments. If you recall, at the last meeting, I have 3 vacancies and 4 applicants. Do you want me to name those applicants again?
Sure.
Okay. I have Michael Santee, Peter Rice, Nathan Costo, and Don Hettinger.
All right, I can tell you what I've found out in my calls.
Okay.
You guys ready? So I did talk, or Nathan requested this day, we received a letter from him, so did Don as well. I did talk with John Ferret, the chairman, and John Potter, who still wants to serve. And I don't believe we received a letter from him saying that he wanted to remain, but he still wants to remain.
His term was, neither of those two John's terms were expiring this year.
Okay, is it, okay. All right, anyway, he still wants to serve, which I think is important. He comes from, that's the north end of the county, and I think that's great. I did talk with Peter Rice. I think he would be a great appointment to the board. He has a unique skill set, I think that can help them out. So I would recommend him as well.
I spoke with Michael Santee, and I think he would also be excellent, but I would concur with Daryl based on where they live.
Yeah.
Peter brings the southern end of the county in, and we don't have anybody representing that area of the county. So that's why I would concur with that. I think it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other. I think they're both excellent. I think they would both bring really good information to the board. But that's why.
I would